today I would like to talk a little bit about the power of mixing together the Cisco collaboration architecture and mainly the contact center solutions, but not just the contact center solution, because I would like to insist on the power of the architecture and what artificial intelligence is bringing to the IT industry, because this is a wonderful combo. This is a combination of two things which are going to create a revolution in the next 2-3 years. A revolution, especially in the business, driven by the IT. So, very compelling for all what we are doing here. So, I would like also to pitch some example of use cases we went through, which are, let me say, very common across different customers, across different verticals, as well as some interesting ones we are working on. But those are just examples to trigger a little bit of brainstorming on where to apply artificial intelligence in your specific environment. So the first thing I would like to share with you is why we are doing what we are doing today. So this artificial intelligence is not something brand new. So it has been around for ages. What is different is the underneath technology, which is powering the artificial intelligence solution. Things like machine learning, natural language understanding, today are much more mature, and they offer a unique opportunity to enhance the teamwork, the complexity of the teamwork within enterprises, and not just within enterprises, between enterprises, in the business to business, and of course in the business to customer, business to client. So it's the three environment I just listed, which are the ones benefiting from the combination of these two technologies. So we believe that when you are able to combine these new technologies with the right context, the right context means, making the right data available to the right people at the right time in the right place. Then you talk about what in Cisco is called cognitive collaboration. And I just want to highlight this point. So the right data to the right people to the right in the right place at the right time. Because today we have too many data which are not correlated, and the data stands to artificial intelligence like the fuel stands to the car. So artificial intelligence, you can have a wonderful car, but with the tank empty if the data are not good, or if the data are simply too much and not the right ones. So the application of these artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language understanding, and analytics, etc., to contact center is very interesting. And it's interesting because it helps to enable a new experience, fundamentally, a new experience for the customers. It helps also the companies to be more productive, to be more efficient, to be more scalable. And so when we are able to, I would say, blend together in a proper way the technology with the people, capacity, resources, then we experience the best return from the investment in artificial intelligence, because you give back time to people who can do more, who can unleash the creativity. They can really offer the best to their companies. Now, let me give you some very high-level examples of what that means in a contact center. Then we will see real use cases and also some live demonstrations. So the artificial intelligence finds in contact center its natural environment. And the reason for that is because contact center is about customer experience. So contact center is the tool, the IT tool that companies are using to drive customer experience, or at least one of the main tools. And we know how much customer experience is today critical. It's a key financial performance indicator for all the companies, of any size of business. So, you can, for example, apply artificial intelligence on agent side, and you can turn agents into a kind of super agents. I like to talk about artificial intelligence being able to lift up the role of an agent to a role of the advisor of the customer, the consultant of the customer. And the reason I'm saying that, because while the agent could take care just about the critical customers or the most difficult things the customer is looking for, because the simple one, the one which is highly repetitive, which is easy to automate, this could be left to artificial intelligence. And therefore, the agent has more time to spend with the customers, especially when it's needed, and not just to do something boring and repetitive, which could be done by the technology. But the agent is also empowered by artificial intelligence. For example, artificial intelligence could be used to proactively offer to the agent the proper information, the right knowledge, the right documentation to answer in a much more accurate way the incoming calls or the incoming conversation from the customers, without the agent having to look for those information by himself. So, because the artificial intelligence will behave like a supervisor, monitoring the conversation between the agent and the client, and proactively looking for whatever could be useful to answer those questions. And this could be done in a quite efficient way. There is another aspect which is very much important into a contact center, where we can apply artificial intelligence, and it's an important one also because sometimes it's not so evident. It's not really clear. So if you think for a second, the contact center has been always a kind of an island within the IT infrastructure of an enterprise. Sometimes this was due to the technology itself, which was different from the technology used by, for example, by the regular employees to collaborate. So you may have one vendor in the contact center and a completely different vendor for the enterprise collaboration. And I think this is the market reality. And this fact that the contact center was isolated within the enterprise was also creating some disconnection between, for example, the agents in the contact center and the subject matter experts you have in the company. I don't know, two examples. One could be an healthcare insurance company. Well, the agent is trained on healthcare stuff, but the agent is not a doctor. At the same time, within the company, you have doctors, but they will never be an agent. So the ability of combining together the power of these human assets, the human resources you have, the trained agents and the skilled doctors, to answer the incoming questions and conversation from the customers could be really of a great benefit from the customer experience, for the customer experience. How to do that? Well, technology can bring these two things together, but you have to get the contact center out of the island, out of the isolated position that it occupies normally in the IT infrastructure, and artificial intelligence and applied to an architecture can really do that. And I have a few examples to share with you. Of course, we can take advantage of these things I just said, fundamentally to deliver a unique experience to the customers. If we use this architecture with artificial intelligence in a proper way, the experience from the customer who is reaching the service will be no longer a mix of isolated and different experiences. For example, depending on the channel they decide to use, if they want to chat, they get an experience. If they want a more traditional audio call, they get another one. But will be a kind of a unified experience, which is really what we are aiming to achieve with our solutions. Now, uh, why artificial intelligence is so compelling in a contact center? Why today? I mean, if you have a contact center, you should add artificial intelligence, or you should think to add artificial intelligence. Well, the reason is very pragmatic, because there is an incredible business case behind that. Now, let me share with you a few things. I mean, um, if you read some of the analyst prediction about the impact of artificial intelligence, the adoption of bots, for example, in a contact center, you may see big numbers, things like, I don't know, 80% of the incoming conversation will be managed by a bot, by artificial intelligence. Well, I'm confident in the technology, and this might happen in the next future. But I would like to be conservative here and show you that in spite of being conservative, the opportunity is fantastic. And this is the reason why artificial intelligence is hot smoking on the table of all the customers, all the vendors, all the partners. Let's target just 10% optimization of a contact center. What I mean by 10%? Well, 10% optimization means that 10% of the incoming conversation, chat, and audio will be managed by a bot. That's normally the traditional interpretation. I would like to point out to give a different spin to this 10%. 10% could mean that 10% of the time usually spent by an agent in a call with a customer will be managed by a bot. Let me give you an example. I don't know, a booking service, but also any other incoming call into a contact center. Normally, the first part of the call is about collecting data, gathering data. What's your name? What's your user ID? What's your service contract? Where do you want to fly to? When do you want to leave? Which kind of seat are you looking for, etc. So this is a very highly repetitive, easy to automate process, which shouldn't be done by an agent, by a human agent, because artificial intelligence can easily do that. And by doing that, you can probably save, well, 10% is very conservative, up to 20% easily of the time of an agent spent in an average call. After that, I mean, the call could be escalated to an agent to deal with the complexity of the human interaction, which could be done by a bot, but it's maybe much more complex to roll out. And this could become the phase two, for example, of the artificial intelligence introduction. Just by doing that, just make a little bit your math, but I'm considering $1,000 as the total cost of an agent every month. Just make your easy math. I would say an average size contact center like 1,000, 2,000 agents. I mean, the savings are in the order of tens of $millions for the life cycles of a contact center, just because of the 10% optimization. If the contact center is larger, or there are a multitude of medium contact center referring to the same organization and company, we are easily talking about a huge amount of cost savings for the customers. And just a subset of those cost savings is what is needed to inject artificial intelligence into the contact center. So I would say it's a self-funding technology, really a self-funding technology. So that's the main reason why artificial intelligence is so interesting, and it's such a priority today in the industry. Some pragmatic suggestion based on what we see on the projects we have going around, based on the RFP, based on the discussions we're having with partners like Booker and Suter and their customers, etc. So in order to brainstorm about the introduction of artificial intelligence into the company, into your contact center, well, the first point I would like to highlight is uh, create immediately from scratch a teamwork between the business stakeholders, those who knows very well the business process you want to automate, the details of the business process you want to automate, because artificial intelligence is meant to replace human people. It's meant to automate a process which is normally managed by a person. So you need to talk first, to learn precisely what the process is. So the business stakeholder is the starting point. The use case is the starting point of artificial intelligence integration into company. And it's not the technical stuff. I know we are working in the IT industry, so we tend to start from the technical analysis, the features, the project, the product specifications. Well, that's not the good way to do that. I mean, we need to start from the use case. We need to start from the business stakeholders. Of course, together with the IT people, because they have to decide how to do that. I don't want to say even if it's feasible, because 99% of the cases it's feasible. It's just a matter of doing that the right way. Oops. It's just a matter of doing that the right way, but it is feasible. So business stakeholders, the IT, and the partner. And we will see the role of the partner, it's important and why. Again, optimize 10% as the initial target. Don't try to boil the ocean at first, not because it's not possible, but because it makes sense 10% already, and it's the first step. Then you can move from there once it's fully rolled and you have become familiar with the power of the technology. Other examples, I mean, chat integration with artificial intelligence, I would say, is a must. If you have a digital contact center and you don't have artificial intelligence, well, that should be more or less a given today. Artificial intelligence applied to digital contact center, to chatbot, can achieve unbelievable performances. I have customers where 80% of the incoming chats are managed by a bot in a very powerful way. On the audio side, I think one very interesting area where you can apply artificial intelligence is the self-service. Creating a self-service conversational IVR is probably the first step to introduce artificial intelligence into an audio, traditional voice, traditional contact center. A lot of the things which are today complex with a traditional IVR could become much easier, or at least I would say the technology complexity can hide the user experience complexity. We can turn a boring, frustrating traditional IVR into a faster, better, a larger, broader scope speech enable a conversational IVR thanks to the introduction of artificial intelligence. We'll see right now how to do that. Now, let me start talking a little bit about the solutions, the architecture, and the different role each of the three stakeholders, or four if you want. Let me include also the vendors. So the business people, the IT people, the partner, and the vendors are playing here. So the one I'm going to share now is the architecture of a modern contact center. And to be honest, it is regardless the vendor. So it should be that one, regardless you're picking Cisco or any other. If it's not that one, you should think about that, because there is something that maybe will not be flexible enough moving forward. So there are fundamentally different words which are coming together. So there is the consumer-driven, the mobility, smartphone-driven behavior of the customers, very much used to deal with the multitude of different channels, different tools. And it's not just the fact that you have a multitude of tools, it's also the dynamic of this business. These tools are constantly changing. The behavior and the dynamics of this side of the architectures is driven by the consumer dynamics, which means in 6 months you have a new tool popping up. These days, Telegram is becoming really popular. I don't want to say taking over WhatsApp, but at least, filling the gap with WhatsApp. Why? I don't know. I have no idea why that's happening, but that's happening. So you have to be able to deliver those integrations quickly. On the other side, the IT side, where Cisco is playing, for example, every customer is today on premise, and every customer today is brainstorming whether they should partially or completely or whatever migration to cloud. So this is happening, and this will happen in the next 2-3 years. So whatever investment you are making today in artificial intelligence should still make sense in 2 years from now, when maybe part of your solution will be in cloud. Otherwise, the return of the investment will not be that great. And the architecture should make that possible, should be flexible, versatile enough to make that possible. Then you have the new guys, the artificial intelligence stuff coming into the picture. Well, the artificial intelligence market is not mature. The technology is mature, but the market is not mature. There are so many vendors around. There are some leading vendors. Google is one. But most likely, this market, which is in its infancy today, will evolve in the coming 2-3 years. And we will see which are going to be the leading vendors in 2-3 years from now. But I'm talking about vendors, plural. It will not be just 1 or 2 or 3. There will be maybe many specialized artificial intelligence vendors, just playing in a vertical, just playing in a segment. And therefore, you need an architecture open to be able to take advantage of the best AI technology for your specific use case. And that's exactly the Cisco approach. We do have our own pieces of artificial intelligence, but it doesn't mean that you have always to use our pieces. There are different artificial intelligence solutions you can pick for the different use cases you will have in your company. And finally, data. Don't forget the importance of data. So you need to combine together all these things: the consumer behavior, the IT infrastructure, the artificial intelligence multitude of vendors, and the data repositories, which could be the CRM, could be any repository where the data to fuel the artificial intelligence power are stored. Now, in order to bring everything together, you need to think to an architecture where you have open APIs everywhere, and you have an orchestrational layer. You have something which I'm used to call conversational engine. You are free to call it the way you want, but it is a functional block. Most likely software, could be a combination of software and hardware, but most likely software, which is behaving as an orchestrational layer. And this architecture is the one which is the most versatile, which will scale up, which will be flexible, moving forward, being able to adapt to the constant change of this industry, because it will be a constant change for the next years. Now, this also implies something very important in terms of the partner that you are going to pick, because this is going to, of course, require different skill set from a partner point of view. And I'm going to talk about that in a few seconds. Now, I just want to bring you an example I'm working on these days. How to combine together all these things will really have a wonderful side effect, impact on the way you are driving your business. For example, now I was talking with Booker and Suter, because we are working on that together, on an environment like this one, where we are using artificial intelligence to do something unusual. So we are using artificial intelligence to take the routing decision in the contact center. So artificial intelligence is used to decide which is the best agent within the portfolio of the different agents you have to take that call. So the routing decision, which is normally static, is becoming not just dynamic, but dynamic and driven by artificial intelligence. So by combining, for example, Cisco precision queuing in the contact center enterprise solution and artificial intelligence intent recognition, in this case with Google, you can decide what is the best agent to pick for that specific call where the customer has described in a voice conversation what they are looking for to Google, and Google is returning, let me say, the intent summary of the context of this discussion the bot had with the client, and the Cisco Contact Center Enterprise will digest, interpret that content, that context, the list of intents, and will take the routing decision to match the attributes assigned to each of the available agents in the best way to this list of intents coming from the customer. Everything in a fully dynamic way. Dynamic in this case means that the available agents and the specific need of the incoming call will be matched in the best way. So you can get the best out of the contact center resources and to match the incoming request from the customers. This is the way we optimize the customer experience. There is no way to do that in a static way. It's not possible. It has to be dynamic, driven by artificial intelligence, and that's what we can do with our solutions. We're also trying to help to streamline the go-to-market and the relationship for our partners with artificial intelligence vendors. Here is the one we have announced in Barcelona, and which is available today on Cisco price list. So we have a strategic partnership with Google, which means that we are developing together the solution, and therefore we are adding features on both sides to make the two technologies fully integrated to deliver the best to our customers. It's available. It's not mandatory. It's one of the options you can pick to deliver the solution which best fits into your environment. So it's one of those things available together, for example, with Cisco artificial intelligence like MindMeld or Voicea. And you can pick one or the other depending on the use case. It's just making the menu a la carte richer, longer, bigger to better serve your needs. Okay? It's not just a technology offer, it's also a commercial offer, which means that there is a full set of Google artificial intelligence cloud services sold by Cisco and sold by Cisco partners. So it's one BOM, one invoice just coming from the Cisco partner and sold by Cisco to streamline the go-to-market. Also here there is flexibility, so if you have a relationship with Google, an existing contract with Google, you can go ahead and keep buying those services from Google, or if you don't want and you want to package everything into one single offer, one single bill invoice, you can buy those from the Cisco partner through Cisco. So which will be simple, from an administrative point of view. These are the three services made available since today on the Cisco price list, and it's a full OEM, so it's a full Cisco product service, to be honest. But of course, it's delivered by Google. We have made available speech-to-text, DialogFlow, and text-to-speech. So these are the first three services made available through Cisco price list and partners to our customers from Google. But of course, it's a beginning of a journey, so you will see many others becoming available soon. Now, let's talk about the role of the partner because it's very much important. Then I jump into some business cases, use cases, and I show you the architecture we have delivered to meet those customer needs. The role of the partners is very much important because going back to the architecture, the kind of skills needed to deliver artificial intelligence and contact center solutions is evolving as quickly as the technology is evolving. So traditionally, we had the system integration requirements and skills and accreditation into our partners to deliver contact center solutions. That's no longer enough. That's no longer enough because every time we talk about this conversational engine, this orchestration of APIs, we are talking about software integration skills and not system integration skills. I mean, you need a combination of these two skill sets in the partner to be able to deliver the solution you are looking for, which means that either the partner is able, like Booker and Suter, to build in-house those skill sets, or the partner has to look for external partnership. Otherwise, they will not be able to deliver the solution. So it's very much important to choose the right partner when you have an artificial intelligence project. And by the way, software integrations also applies into the data stuff. For example, I mean, the list of data connectors delivered by Cisco is built by, it's an OEM with the Booker and Suter. So that's another example of software integration skill sets, which are mandatory to deliver the full solution you are looking for. There is one more piece here, which is the specific artificial intelligence boutique competencies that the partner needs to have. So the ability to create a bot, a chat, and even worse, an audio bot is not something you invent early in the morning, Monday morning, just because you need it. It's a job for specialists. It's a job where you need the expertise and not just the trainings. Where you need well, I would say years of expertise to be able to create a very complex automated bot for audio or for chat. So that's another bucket of skills that the partner needs to be able. So choosing the right partner is fundamental to be able to achieve a successful AI integration. And I would say the Cisco partner is acting as the director of this orchestra, which has to play in a proper synchronized harmonic way in order to deliver the full power of AI and contact centers together. It's nothing to be scared about. I'm simply saying that this industry is changing, and therefore the technology challenges are changing, and therefore the partner has to evolve along with this evolution of the technology. And you need to, check the partner you are leveraging to deliver the solution has the right skill sets. Let's talk about some use cases. For some of those, I have demos. For some of those, it's simply difficult to have a demo online. I will be very glad to have a follow-up with Booker and Suter and you in a one-to-one and deliver the demo together with them of the use cases I'm going to show you right now. The first one is the first of a set of what we call agent assistance services. So agent assistance services means that the customer, the artificial intelligence is just helping the agent. It's not meant to replace the agent. So in this case, we have, for example, a combination of WebEx team technologies, Cisco Contact Center infrastructure, and Google DialogFlow bot. This is one of those cases where we pull the contact center out of his island. We connect the contact center with the rest of the enterprise organization, and we bring the expert knowledge and resources available to take incoming chat, in this case, from the customers. You have an incoming chat from any of the social tools. This incoming chat is managed by a customized solution in the contact center. In this case, we are using UpstreamWorks, but we can use ECE. It doesn't make any difference, provided that the chat engine has an API back to the infrastructure. You can do that. Let's take the incoming chat. Let's say the incoming chat is managed by the bot, and the bot is taking the call. At a certain time, the bot will need to escalate the chat because the client needs to talk with more than a bot, with a human person. Now, the bot will have two options. We'll have the option to escalate to an expert or to escalate to an agent, depending on the need of the customer. So if the escalation has to be with an expert, the bot will reach out to the WebEx team intranet infrastructure and will pop up, for example, a request to an open space where the experts normally are chatting and discussing, and will request if any expert is available to take the incoming chat from the customer. And if the WebEx expert is available, he will say simply, yes, I'm available, and the bot will put the expert in touch with the incoming chat from the client. So this will combine together the power of the intranet, powered by WebEx team, and the expert resources available on the internet with the contact center to serve the customer. If the bot decides that just an escalation to an agent is needed, of course, we'll engage the agent, which will be put in touch with the incoming chat through UpstreamWorks or ECE in a regular way. So this is really one of those examples where we can combine together in a fully mesh architecture, in a fully mesh network of people, combining the people assets and the technology assets together in a unique architecture to better serve the customers. And this could be done, I would say, quite easily in a Cisco architecture because we have open APIs everywhere, to Google, to WebEx team, to our contact center architecture, and of course on the client side to the social media, social channels that the customer may want to use. Let me show you another example which is fitting quite well, especially in the European market. In the European market, we will always have a challenge, which is the languages we speak, which are different. So any company willing to serve multiple European countries will have this challenge. But in reality, it's a challenge which is a challenge true for any company willing to target the world flat market, because the languages will be always an issue, especially if it's a matter of business to consumer. In the business to business, maybe English is the de facto standard language, but in the business to client, business to consumer, the client calling the contact center will always speak their mother tongue language. They will never call the contact center in any different language. How to deal with that, especially in Europe, where we have hundreds of different languages, not just the 24 official ones? Well, let's see some examples, because this is a big challenge for a contact center. It's a big challenge not just because you need to serve the customer in their own languages, which is something you can do by hiring agents able to speak multiple languages, or hiring more agents than needed, because you will need more agents speaking different languages. It's a matter of optimizing the workforce in a contact center. You will never have a perfect optimization, simply because you might have all the French-speaking agents busy in calls. You have two more French clients in queue, and maybe you have all the German-speaking agents free. And therefore, it's impossible to resolve this equation without artificial intelligence. With artificial intelligence, let's see how you can do that. For example, this is the architecture used for managing a multi-language digital contact center solution. So you have the incoming chat from, in this case, we are using Telegram, and I will show you the example. The incoming chat is routed to Google services, and Google is doing the translation back and forth from the agent and the client in both directions, from any language to any language. and the translated text is displayed on the finesse gadget of the agent in a very user-friendly way. But let me show that live to you. So let me log into the contact center. If it's still on, I was already logged in. Okay, here you see my finesse contact center gadget. So let me do the following. Let me pick my mobile phone, and through Telegram, I will show you. So I will switch to my Telegram on Mac in a second so you can see. I think I've got disconnected. Yes, I got disconnected. Thank you very much.
Oh, you received it just on the red button on the left icon. You're on call track, not on chat. Left side.
Oh, sorry, I was in the wrong place. Here we are. So here you have an incoming call. Let's say I'm Italian. I am Italian, of course. So in order to show you what I'm doing, let me switch to my Telegram on Mac so you see what I'm doing. Ciao. Ho bisogno di aiuto tecnico. So here you have the Italian customer who is chatting your contact center. Let's say the agent is just an English-speaking agent, but could be any language. So at this point, he's getting an unknown language, and the only thing he has to do is to invoke Google Translation Services, simply saying, "Hey Google, I'm speaking English. Can you translate that unknown language into English for me?" And you see that Google is doing that real time. So now the agent could simply say, "What can I do for you?" Is simply chatting his own language, and on the other side, I'm getting the translation in Italian, and we can chat seamless without even noticing. To be honest, there is an artificial intelligence translation engine bot in between the two of us. Now, you understand that this way, with artificial intelligence, you have fixed quite a big problem. And you have managed to reduce a big cost that normally you have in your contact center. So let me show you one more thing. As I don't speak German, I can probably pronounce that, but I'm not going to do that. So you start laughing for half an hour because of my German. Let's say the next chat is coming from a German client into the same contact center. So you see, the question is coming in German. Now the same agent is taking the question and is doing simply the same thing. I don't know what language is that one. Please, Google, translate that for me in English. I need technical support. Hi, I can ask a technician to call you. And on the other side, the German client is getting the chat translated into German. You see how easy, how friendly you can turn a big issue into a wonderful solution because of artificial intelligence. So let me speed up and let me show you another example of assistant services. In this case, I would like to use audio as the channel, audio as the media, just to show you that the same kind of things you can do on chat could be done on audio. It's not just a matter of AI works only with chat. That's a perception. You can do a lot of things with audio. In this case, the assistant we are giving to the agent is a transcription and translation assistant. So an incoming audio call taken by an agent is transcribed and translated in real time by Google, combined together with the Cisco Contact Center infrastructure. So let me go back to my CC demonstration. So the way it works is the following. Now, it's becoming complex because I have to place a call while I'm in a call with you. Let's see if I can manage to do that, okay? So I'm going to call as a client the contact center, and I hope I will not do any mess here. Okay, after the IVR, I get the call. This is the Jabber client of the agent. Now, let's do the following. I'm going to speak Italian and let me translate in German, okay? So fundamentally the translation. Buongiorno a tutti. Sono Max, lavoro in Cisco nel team europeo, mi occupo di collaborazione. Sono molto contento questa mattina di poter presentare l'intelligenza artificiale integrata con i contact center ai clienti di Booker & Sutter, che è un partner per noi strategico, importante e con grande esperienza. Adesso mi fermo qua perché diciamo che vi ho fatto vedere come funziona anche questa dimostrazione. So let me switch back to English, sorry. Now, apart the GUI and the gadget, which is something I have to resize, so apologies for that, but I'm doing that during a WebEx, etc. You have seen in this case, I was speaking Italian. The system was transcribing my Italian, and trust me, the transcription is perfect. I hope some of you is speaking Italian and could check what I'm saying. But I was also translating in German real time the Italian transcription, and it could be done in a multitude of different languages, Arabic, etc. So now, if you think about the languages issues we have today, or the fact that many of the contact centers, even if they speak Italian, German, French, etc., they are not in Italy, they are not in France, they are not in Germany. They are maybe in a foreign country. Here in Italy, we have those in Romania, in Albania. In France, they have it in the North Africa. You probably have in the surrounding countries, Eastern European countries. And the agent is speaking the local language, but is not really 100% confident. Well, this could help the agent to feel much more confident. It's more or less the same concept when you are watching a YouTube video in a foreign language and you look at the transcription. So that's just another example. I don't mean it has to be exactly the same, but with the technology, you can achieve that. You can have also audio, transcription, translation, real-time services applied to your contact center solutions. Let's move forward because, as I was expecting, I'm late. I'm going to close with another example, which is a bit more generic, but very powerful. It's called Cisco Virtual Assistant. And it's the way to combine together IVR technology with in a contact center with artificial intelligence technology. So here we have two pressures. From one side, the customer side, they want to have a smart IVR. They don't want to listen to a frustrating 20 options with the multiple menus, stacked one on top of each other. IVR traditional solution. On the enterprise side, they want to deliver smart IVRs with all the options they want to offer without building a huge tree, which is really boring, cost expensive, which is really inflexible. So how to combine these two things together? Well, the traditional IVR experience doesn't work because it's a kind of short blanket. So either you make the user experience very bad and you cover with a huge tree of options all the services you want to deliver, or you make the user experience fast, but you are not able to cover all the options. So it's a kind of really frustrating experience, which is translated into Very bad way to serve the customer, very bad for business. Now, with the conversational IVR, we fix the problem for the simple reason that you speak to the IVR. You speak to the IVR and you ask what you want to do. And the IVR will not simply voice the option. That's a speech IVR. This is a conversational IVR. The IVR will understand what you want to do and will jumpstart to, if you want, the leaf in the tree of the traditional IVR where the option is. So you can use that in multiple different ways. In the first example I gave you, I was using this to even decide to which agent I should route the call. Okay, so it could be used in a very versatile, different list of ways. But it's important because in the IVR, you apply the artificial intelligence to catch, to understand what action the customer is willing to take, what is the intent of the customer. And then you can pick that intent to do whatever you want within the business, to identify the right agent, to connect the agent with the right information the customer is looking for, or to deliver a self-service, for example, option to the customer. So to pick within the bot the right information and deliver to the customer. This is available since release 12.5 of Contact Center Enterprise, and it could be made available in two different ways, which are important, and I'm going to spend the last minute on these two different ways. The first way is called Mode 1, and in Mode 1, fundamentally, the Google DialogFlow bot is handling the call, entirely the call, because the dialogue, the answer, the actions taken upon the customer needs, the customer intents, are taken by the Google Dialog bot. It's not taken by the Cisco Contact Center IVR solution. This is the one where you fully delegate Google to take care about the incoming call. And only when Google decides that the call is either finished or needs an escalation, the call center is brought back into the loop and we take control of the call. Now, this applies quite well to simple, highly repetitive, easy to automate tasks. Best example I can give you is utility services, meter readings, those things where you have to change your credential, you have to change the address, you have to change your banking account details, etc. That's when it applies quite well. In many other cases where you have more complexity, where you have an existing IVR solution, you need a different approach. And the different approach is the following. You leave the logic of the IVR on the Cisco Contact Center, which means that you start from the existing IVR script you have, developed on Call Studio, residing on the CVP, being executed on the virtual voice browser, and you enhance that script to invoke Google whenever it's needed. So the existing script could be enhanced to invoke Google, for example, for text-to-speech, for speech recognition, or for intent recognition, but only and where it is needed, and not delegating the entire call to Google. Why that's important? Well, it's important because you have the flexibility to decide, for example, what you want to keep on premise, managed by the traditional Cisco IVR approach, and where you want to engage Google to deliver the full power of artificial intelligence. And this is very important in a very complex environment, for example, finance, insurances, etc., where you have privacy, where you have regulations, company regulations to respect, or where you have existing integrations in the IVR that you don't want to turn upside down. You don't want to get rid of. You want to maintain, but at the same time you want to enhance the experience by adding artificial intelligence. So this is when I strongly advise to go for conversational IVR, Cisco Virtual Assistant Mode 2 operations. Well, we have we have examples. Booker and Suter can give you, for example, a number to dial where you will experience this Cisco virtual assistant service. For example, Booker and Suter developed one for booking, flight booking services, where the bot is taking the incoming call, is asking you a list of questions, is collecting data, and finally it's able to escalate to an agent. I don't want to run this demonstration because we are running out of time, but we can have a very in-depth conversation about these kind of solutions as a follow-up to this webinar.